a legal immigrant. I'm perhaps the only person here who went through the process, and it is absolutely torturous. It's extremely expensive. It's very restrictive on where you can work, who you can work for, who you can't. But let's never forget, citizenship is a privilege. You should earn it, and I'm a proud American, and I earned it. Now, does that mean I'm anti-immigrant? Absolutely not. I worry so much, though, about illegal immigration because it's bad for them. We're also have huge security problems. The number of people who are dying from drug overdoses every single day because of drugs that are coming across. An open border is ruinous for your country. In terms of what we do about it, though, the chances of doing about anything about immigration reform is 0%. Because if you ask any candidate, okay, what are we going to do? And they'll say, okay, we're going to reform the system. We're going to make it easier to immigrate to this country. And true, you might have to move to North Dakota to work there. If you want citizenship, you might have to go to a state where we have huge land for you to go to, something like that. What are you going to do about the illegal immigrants that are here? The numbers are huge. We're talking 20 million, more than that maybe. There isn't a single politician who would ever look you in the eye and say, you know what, we'll give you all citizenship overnight, or we'll give you a path to it. The chalice has been poisoned so badly that I will tell you, even a huge liberal like Tim Ryan, if you ask him, would you give legal citizenship to 20 million illegal immigrants? There is no way he will say yes. There is no way he's going to tell you the truth because he knows that he would never get elected.
Powerful panel. Joining me now, our panel, radio host Tony Katz and former Biden surrogate Kevin Wallen. Gentlemen, thank y'all so much for joining me tonight. Tony, I'll go to you. What is your reaction to the panel? Swing state of Ohio.
My next door neighbor here from Indiana. I like her. I think we should hear more from her. I watched a lot of it, watched it earlier. Of course, the economy is the top subject for this election. Somebody on your panel brought up bodily autonomy. That is nowhere near the top subject. That's a wish list idea for the political left, not reality at all. And these immigration conversations about wanting legal immigration and rejecting illegal immigration, that's the right 1-2 punch.
Yeah. Kevin, you know what fascinated me? I try not to interrupt in these panels because I want them to have the conversation. I wanted to just facilitate it. But one of the Democrats said that they didn't want to defund the police. There were several Democrat cities that defunded the police. They refunded them after they realized how terrible it was. But isn't that something Democrats are going to have to own eventually?
Well, it's certainly something the Republicans are going to campaign against us with. But, the leader of my party, the president of the United States, has said that he fundamentally rejects any notion of defunding the police. We passed a bill just last week through the House of Representatives controlled by the Democrats that increased funding for the police. And, Lawrence, I really love that conversation that you had in it, that you allowed these voters to express themselves and to play off one another. And I hope every candidate, especially those in Ohio, listen to these voters because I think we need to hear from them in terms of what is their top concern. And to Tony's point, it is the economy. And that's why you're seeing Democrats and Republicans campaigning so hard on that particular issue.
All right, let's talk about another campaign because everybody's wondering if Joe Biden is going to run for re-election. But what about Bernie Sanders? This is an interview. Watch.
As you sit here at 81 and Joe Biden's 79, do you think he should run again for the presidency?
Well, that's his decision.
I know it's his decision.
Joe is a friend of mine, and I think against enormous opposition, he has tried to do some very, very good things, and he will make that decision himself.
Do you plan to run again?
That's something, I haven't made that decision.
My friend may run, but I haven't decided if I'm going to run. Tony?
I love what he always says, that friend of mine line. I think that was the line he said about Elizabeth Warren. She's a friend of mine, and she's a friend, and she's a friend of mine, so she's a friend. It was a very funny line. He runs, he doesn't run. It makes no difference to me. I don't know why he thinks that the Democratic Party is now going to turn around and love him. How many more times does the Democratic Party have to screw him over before he gets the understanding that it's not them, it's him? They're just not that into him. Or have they now just embraced the socialist and communist that he is?
Kevin?
Well, Tony's a friend of mine, number one. Number two, it's really tough when you've run for president and lost to get that bug out of your system. So I think as long as Bernie is breathing and other challengers who ran in the past are breathing, they're going to have some interest in running again. I support, obviously, President Biden. I was a surrogate for him. If he chooses to run for re-election in now 700-plus days, he will have my support, and it'll be a competitive campaign.
You know what's
funny? If
funny?
That's the case, is Hillary running?
Kevin?
Who knows? Who knows? I mean, it's anyone's bet. We got an election in less than 40 days, Tony and Lawrence, as we know. I'm focusing on that right now, and then we'll see where the chips fall. You
know what I find fascinating as someone that followed President Barack Obama? You never heard this talk about him. He was the leader. No one wanted to. They may have wanted to run against him, but they had to come out and say they were going to support the commander-in-chief, the leader of the Democratic Party. And it just shows you that maybe voters don't, of the Democratic perspective, we've ran the clips for you on cross country, they don't have confidence in him. And it can't just be about age. Because if people have confidence in Bernie Sanders and not the president, I mean, he's older than the president of the United States. So anyway, we'll be continuing to have this debate. Gentlemen, thanks so much for coming on the program tonight.